Welcome, everyone, to Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Pocono 350. We're back at the tricky triangle, 3 corners, 2.5 miles here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, Pocono Raceway. Once again on the HTL Cup Series calendar. This is race 11 of the HTL Cup Series season. We're glad you're with us here for HTL and ABN action coming right up here. Qualifying completed. Gives us some time to get into the thick of all the action before the green flag flies. Obviously, 10 races in. Now the concern is who is in, who is out of the HTL Cup Series playoffs. The picture becoming a little bit more clear. Who is where and what needs to happen across the next few races to make their way into the HTL Cup Series playoffs once the new year rolls around. The standings as they look right now. Again, keep in mind, those marked in cyan, the lighter shade of blue on your screen, are those with race wins. They are sitting the most comfortable of the bunch. There's 6 on this screen. Patrick Oberstadt, 3-time race winner here this season. The most comfortable of the bunch. The entire top 6 all race winners. Josh Susie, the first of those without a race win. Again, that slow start we saw from him last season carrying over to this season as well. He's going to try to shake that off here. He's had pace, but it's been costly mistakes that have taken him out of contention and have really left him under threat. Tucker Sawyer, Jeremy Braille, Eli Sasek, Louis Sharp, and Steven Oberstadt right now hoping that they don't need to rely on race wins here. Top 12 on this screen right now are all locked in based on points. So the race wins don't really matter yet for those in this screen. It's all points based. So try to get that pulled back up here. It's this page here, 13th through 16th are the wildcard spots. If you are in a wildcard position, it gets a little trickier. 13th through 16th can be locked in based off points if no one's using a wild card. Bailey Thompson and Zach Aberson, they have race wins. They are naturally 13th and 14th in points entering this race, which means they don't need to use the wild card provision. The wild card provision applies to race winners that are below 16th in points, 16th to 30th in points, that have made a minimum of 10 starts this season. No one's met that criteria yet. The 2 drivers that theoretically could right now are already in the top 16, with Thompson and Aberson just outside the top 12. Thompson in 13th, Aberson in 14th as things set following the race in Atlanta last Monday. Can they keep that going? Trends for Bailey Thompson says more than likely. For Zach Aberson, maybe not so much. But this stretch of races beginning in Charlotte, as we've talked about so often, open setup races have been a game changer. As many expected they would be. It has shifted the tide a little bit. Aberson is on a team that has access to a lot of good material to try to compete. We see that. The 27 and the 4 are teammates. So it's possible. But again, Thompson has trended better than Aberson over the last few weeks. We'll see if that holds true here in Pocono, a race that last time we were here did not treat either of them kindly. David Smeal, Cody Pinnell, they round up the rest of the top 16 at the moment as things sit. Hunter Peach outside looking in, Byron Jones, Josh Arnold, Blake Henderson in your top 20. Blake Henderson a month ago, this was a far cry. He was far from this. He was in 34th in points. His season was effectively over. Good results, good performances, really beginning in Texas about a month ago, have helped turn his season around, and he needs to cling to that and keep charging forward. He is not far away from the top 16. Right now, 19 points is the difference, and there's still a few races to go to get that points total up. But this is where the climb gets a little bit harder. You see Matt Vorndren also in the top 24 right now. Josh Stoltz not active as a driver currently after being replaced at Innocent Racing. Callie Height will not be seeing through the season, running a part-time effort. Same goes for Alfred Denny. So neither of these drivers at the bottom really taking effects in how this season is going to unfold. That being said, there's a lot to go into the rest of the regular season here. Next week we head to ABN's home playground, Kentucky Speedway, for the Charity 350. Going to be a very sentimental event next Monday. We hope to see you all there as well. Then we go to Sebring, first time HTL to Sebring, the short course that is used often by IndyCar testing. You'll see on December 8th, December 15th, we go to Bristol for the night race there, the traditional night race, and then we end off the regular season with the Firecracker 400 at Daytona. Warm-up is done and in the books. Some information about Pocono Raceway and its history at HTL. It's been run a few times. It's been run 6 times in total. It's had 2 playoff races as well. The history of those playoff races are not included here. Previous winners of the regular season race: Matthew Boone, Dylan McDonald, Cole Snyder, and Josh Susi, your former 2-time champion. The last time we came here, he was the winner of that race. Stages, lap 25 and lap 50. Fuel mileage should get you safely through each of those stages as it is. There's no cautions planned for the stage breaks, so you got to map your race out accordingly. We'll see how that plays out here. Jeremy Brayout also has the track record from a couple years ago back in season 5. So a lot of fun to kind of look through here. That being said, it is time to go over the starting grid. So let's go ahead and get that underway. Josh Susi entered as the defending race winner from a couple seasons ago. He's on pole position. He's alongside Casey Wygen on that front row. Row 2, Blake Henderson alongside Billy Thompson. We talked about how big this race could be for them and what they need to get into the top 16 or even better into the top 12. This is a great start for them starting in row 2. Row 3, Christina Ryan filling in for Dustin Hall back in Charlotte. Now in her own car, the number 80 on track for the first time in HTL competition. She starts alongside someone very familiar. It's Tommy Reynolds filling in for Kevin Feimster in row 3. Row 4, Bren Roberts and Eli Sasek make up that row inside the top 10. Bren Roberts safely right now in the top 10. Eli Sasek trying to get there in the points. He starts 8th. Tucker Sawyer and Hunter Peach, one driver safely in the top 10 right now in points. Hunter Peach on the outside looking in the top 16 with some work to do. He starts in 10th. Row 6, just outside the top 10. Bobby Blowers and Matt Vorndren make up that row. Josh Arnold and Zach Meredith make up row number 7, 13th and 14th on the grid. Elias Flores and Cody Pennell make up row number 8. Cody Pennell inside the top 16, but barely. He has got a target on his back in that Jack Daniels number 8. Patrick Overstat, 3-time race winner this season so far. He's the only driver with more than 1 win so far. If he's going to try to go for 4 wins, he's got to do it from 17th on the grid. 19th on the grid, Caitlin Height filling in for Josh Damon once again, starting alongside Alfred Denny. Not a great race last time out in Atlanta, both of them trying to correct that from the 10th row. Zach Apperson, we talked about him. He's 14th in points. He starts 21st alongside Chelsea Carter. Byron Jones and Davis Moon Jr. in row number 12. Stephen Overstat, iconic black number 3, starts 25th alongside Ross Baxter, his teammate. Callie Height starts in row 14 alongside Lily Sharp. No love lost between these two, but they've got to work around each other to make themselves up through the field. They're 27th and 28th to roll off here. Dean Clavitt and Richard Odie III make up the top 30. Mark Gissenweather and Dustin Hall make up row 16. On the outside looking in from that top 30, Olivia Pereira and Shad Swatsworth struggling in qualifying, 33rd and 34th for both of them. Del Markowski and Jeremy Braille make up row number 18. Row 19, almost a full field here getting things going. This is the last row. Gary Donson and Angel Santiago. Santiago now in the 90 car full-time for the rest of the season. That was a car that started out the season with Mark Parkhurst behind the wheel. he will not see the season through. And with that, the full field is ready to go here for the Pennsylvania 350. We're glad you're with us. Josh Susie, Pacey Wygant at the front of the field trying to get this party started. This is a race that has traditionally been pretty chaotic. We'll see if that's the case again here tonight. A very interesting top 10. We'll get the party started here in Pennsylvania. Long Pond will once again come alive to the sound of horsepower. It's HTL Cup Series racing on ABN. A wonderful Monday night to do so. An early happy Thanksgiving for those that celebrate on Thursday. The pace car pulls off and 38 cars get ready to go racing. At the tricky triangle, the green flag flies, and away we go! First lap in the books, Josh Susie leads the way emphatically over Wygant. Henderson in third, exactly where he started. Same with Bailey Thompson, where she started in fourth. Christina Ryan in fifth. The top seven, all exactly where they were. Henderson trying to work on the 0-0 of Wygant to no avail there at a turn number one. Three corners, all of them distinctly different across each other. Turn two, tunnel turn, the fastest of the bunch. But it is tricky for a reason. It's very bumpy. And you saw that with a couple cars drifting out wide there through turn two. Turn three, the slowest of the bunch. It's a lot flatter. I'm seeing everyone handle that pretty well as well. Three wide further back for a moment. That is just behind Eli Sasser. You're looking, that is with Tucker Sawyer, Zach Meredith, and Bobby Flowers over three wide through turn three. F1 getting into a rhythm here. This was going to be a big litmus test on the open setup side of things. The last time we were here, this race was a messy race. This was a couple seasons ago. Things were not so pleasant. This is the race that instituted the overtime limit that came to be. We had almost a full race in just overtime attempts last time we were here. It was not pleasant. But so far, things have started out pretty electric here. Josh Susie feeling pretty good right now, and he needs to. He's had a couple really bad races that he was comfortable in until mistakes took him out of the running. Especially Charlotte 2 weeks ago. That was one that was a big time killer for him. But winning here kind of washes all of that away. Caution is out, and it is for Angel Santiago. And this is in turn one. Trouble immediately. It looks like Caitlin Height had some sort of issue as well. So we'll see pretty quickly what happened to the 90 of Santiago, who was near the back of the field, in just a moment. And we're going to take a look here. Santiago in slow motion. Coast to Coast Racing, their third car, alongside Zach Meredith and Byron Jones. And this is just snapping loose and immediately hitting the inside wall really hard. And Caitlin Height Not a lot she can do in that situation. Let us see her perspective on this. Yeah, she's sailing in here. Yeah, Santiago's trying to get off the racetrack there and is just not paying attention to whether or not there's oncoming traffic. And that's going to be disappointing for both of them. Santiago's still on pit lane. Caitlin Height now also on pit lane. And a two-car incident at the very back of the field. Josh Susie will lead the way. Over to caution for the first time. It was a single-car spin with Santiago. And as he was trying to get off the racetrack, he collects the 17-time HTL Cup Series race winner. Importantly, in that distinction, Blake Henderson had managed to get around Pacey Wygent for second place. So we were finally seeing some movement going on here. Henderson up to second. Christina Ryan got around Bailey Thompson for fourth. So the Tombstone Racing car is feeling pretty good. Christina Ryan, an open car at the moment. Remember, she did fill in for Dustin Hall in his number one machine at Charlotte. Now in her own car. The Charlotte native doing pretty well here in Pocono. Keep an eye on her progress here. She's not renowned in these 7th generation cars. She's more renowned in open wheel and in the 4th generation cars used in Winstone. This is her 4th career start in the HTL Cup Series. For those that have watched ABN over the last 10 years, very familiar with her, and she is showing that she is still able to wheel and deal. Doesn't matter what the car is. Biggest mover so far, right now, and no surprise here, another Tombstone Racing car. Dustin Hall up to 24th. He's up 8 spots. He started this race 32nd. He has made pretty quick work coming through the field. He's not alone in that either. Mark Kissenweather, Dale Markowski, all up 7 spots. Jeremy Brayout up 7 spots. There's some movers and shakers. Callie Heights up 5 spots, 22nd. So there's some pretty big movers trying to make their way forward into the top 20. We'll see how they play out here once we get some more running going on here. Some cars coming down pit lane. Gary Donaldson, Richard Odie coming down for some early service. And Angel Santiago's day is effectively done. So her first retirement comes after only 3 laps of racing. And it is the number 90, Angel Santiago, out at the first hurdle. As the field gets ready to double up, so we can go racing. We'll step aside for a small 30-second break, so stay with us. Welcome back to the Pennsylvania 350 here at Pocono Raceway. 100 laps. We are on lap 7, coming to lap 8 for our first restart of the night. Reminder, stage ends on lap 25 for stage 1. There are no stage breaks planned for this event, so they got to race through it unless a caution comes out for an accident, like what we saw here with Angel Santiago and Caitlin Height. Santiago's day is done. Dean Clavitt and Richard Odie and Gary Donaldson coming down early for some pit stops. Caitlin Height coming in for repair work after being collected by Santiago and has been on pit lane for the last 5 minutes and will stay on pit lane for this restart. So we will have 36 cars on the racetrack for this green flag, our first restart of the night here at the Tricky Triangle, Eastern Pennsylvania. Will once again roar to life with the sound of horsepower as the Mustang pace car pulls off. It is Susie and Henderson on the front row for this restart. Green flag flies, away we go, and Susie gets away well, but it is a Tombstone Fiesta behind him. Henderson, Ryan, and Thompson all there. Ahead of Pacey Wyjump. Henderson hangs on ahead of the 80. And everyone dances a little bit. Trouble, Reynolds. And that will draw the yellow. You saw the 71 go for a spin out of turn 1. No one hit him, thankfully. I do wonder if he had assistance in going around to begin with, and we'll see that in a moment. But second caution in quick succession here. Reynolds will drop down to 36th and last car on the lead lap. And here's what happened. Looks like he helps himself a little bit there. Pacey Wyjett hugging his inside. Reynolds was trying to shoot the gap. He had a run on Christina Ryan and Blake Henderson, but the hole wasn't open. And Reynolds, I think, self-penalizing, bore the worst of that. Pretty good look from high above. But he is still running. No damage reported on that 71 car, filling in for Kevin Feemster. But now he has a lot of work to do after qualifying in the top 6. He is now down 30 spots from that starting position. So we will reset and try again here at Pocono. So Josh Susie, Blake Henderson, Christina Ryan, and Bailey Thompson, your top 4. They have shuffled Pacey Wyjett down to the 3rd row for this upcoming restart. They'll be alongside Brendan Roberts, Hunter Peach, Eli Sasek, Tucker Sawyer, and then Matt Forger making up the rest of the top 10. See, not a lot of opportunity to make some passes. Dustin Hall and Mark Kissenweather both made one more pass, and that was to get around Ross Baxter, who dropped down to 26th. So they're still leading the conversation for biggest movers so far. But again, still very early days. We are just now about a 10th of the way through this race. We're on lap 10, coming to lap 11 here in Pocono. So we're back to having a quiet racetrack as things sit. For all our sports fans, all the live sports scores going on around the world, whether it's soccer, football, hockey, or basketball, bottom of your screen as well. Alrighty, so here we are getting ready to go racing once again. Second restart coming up. Susie once again chooses the outside lane for this restart. We'll put Henderson on the inside lane in front of Christina Ryan. He'll put Bailey Thompson on the outside lane in P4. Susie's been pretty good on the starts here, on the initial start and the first restart. We'll see about the second restart and see if Henderson's got an answer for this one. We have 36 cars with us for this upcoming restart still. Caitlin Hyde still on pit lane, has been on pit lane for 12 minutes now. Trying to get repair work done on that 61 car. The other 36 still running. Angel Santiago out at the first hurdle, 3 laps in. As the field bunches together through turn 3. Let's give this another go. Susie and Henderson, front row, green flag flies, away we go. Got a lot of pressure there in the top 3. Christina Ryan did not get a great restart. Bryn Roberts did. And trouble, Henderson. Henderson in huge trouble at turn number 1. And that is a pretty significant piece of contact with the inside wall out of turn 1, where the emergency crews emerge onto the racetrack. The green flag stays out, so we continue racing here. Roberts moves up to 3rd. Thompson in 2nd now. Christina Ryan back down to 4th. Wygant in 5th. A little bit of the draft being broken there by Susie. Some champ car strats by the race leader. But a lot of champ car veterans behind him. Roberts, Ryan, race winners and champions there. Thompson's driven almost 20 champ car races. They know what they're looking at here. Pacey Wygant sends it to the inside of Christina Ryan. They'll go side by side through the tunnel turn. And car 80 will stay ahead of the 00 with Eli Sasek lurking not far away. Hunter Peach, Tucker Sawyer, Bobby Blowers, and Zach Meredith round out your top 10 at the moment as things stand. Further back, you'll see Bobby Blowers gotten ahead of Matt Vorndren. Patrick Overstat trying to make some moves. The 88 trying to move forward here. Elias Flores on the outside of Zach Meredith. That's a single file. Henderson still rolling. Down in 36th position. Caitlin Hyde also back on the racetrack. So 37 cars circulating here at Pocono at the moment as things sit. Josh Susie leads the way. Car in the fence further back. See if we can get a good idea as to who that was. Looks like it might have been the 96 of Pereira. To the 96 of Pereira, the 23 of Chelsea Carter is the report we're getting now. The 23 tied at the wall of Chelsea Carter. Carter is down in 26th. At the front, Josh Susie leads the way. Thompson in 2nd. Very reminiscent of their battle back at Michigan last season. That did not go great for either of them at the end. But now Thompson's a race winner this season, winning in Chicago. Josh Susie still winless in Season 7. Trying to change that. He's led all 14 laps so far, looking pretty set to lead lap 15 as well in car 24. Robertson third, not far away. And everyone finally beginning to get into a little bit of a rhythm here after 2 straight cautions back to back. The first one for Santiago, and speaking of the double, Michelle Appear, caution is out for a 3rd time, and this time it is for Zach Meredith, former champion, out of turn 3. Don't see a lot of damage on that 17 car. Caitlin Hyde will get one of those laps back, one of the 9 laps back that she is down at the moment. So let's take a look. 3rd caution of the night, Zach Meredith. Battling with the 95, that is Brady Smith to his right on the outside. And Matt Vorngren ahead of him. And it looks like he washes out pretty early in the corner here. Yeah, he washes out and then he gets loose, trying to correct it. Smith tags him a little bit, but damage is already done. Dustin Hall does a good job avoiding making contact there, as does the 88 of Patrick Oberstadt. Slight kiss of the safer barrier just beyond the pit attenuator, so pretty close call for Meredith that he avoids. And he keeps everything going. So Meredith drops to the back of the lead lap field. Caitlin Hyde gets a lap back, and the likes of Henderson and Meredith will get to check their cars and make any necessary repairs under this caution for the 3rd time tonight. Josh Susie continues to lead the way. Bailey Thompson, Bryn Roberts, Christina Ryan, and Pacey Wygent, your top 5. As we sit under caution for the 3rd time tonight. And a decent amount of the field's going to pull in the pit lane this time, as the race leader sits out and sits pretty cozy at the front of the field. Looks like about 24, 25 cars stay out. The rest come in. So this will be a pretty interesting cycle of positions here. For Josh Susie. For the sights and sounds for a moment as we take a break in the action here at Pocono Raceway. Stay tuned and stay with us. More coverage continuing right here on ABN. We get ready to go racing once again. Third restart of the night here at Pocono. It's been a bunch of smaller incidents here. Zach Meredith, the most recent of the bunch. The cycle to the back of the field on a spin. He joins Blake Henderson and Tommy Reynolds in that regard. Santiago still the only retirement in this race. Caitlin Height, one of those laps back. One of the 9 laps she was down, she got back here. So she'll still need a lot of help, but there's a chance with how this race has started so far. It is Josh Susie, Bailey Thompson at the front of the field. We've seen this several times over the last couple seasons. It'll be this way again here. Bren Roberts, Christina Ryan, row 2. Eli Sasek, and Hunter Peach, row 4. Pace car pulls in. Stage 1 into lap 25. There's no stage break for it. They got to race to it. Green flag flies. Let's see who grabs stage points. It's been difficult for these drivers to find a rhythm so far. See if they can break into one here. Car in defense. Thompson got loose and is sinking down the order and tagged the wall pretty hard. You see the damage on the 27 rolling through the tunnel turn. It's not pretty. It's a little snap that unfortunately has snake bitten the 27 immediately on this restart. Everyone does a good job to avoid, and so we stay racing here. Meanwhile, the Dragons made an appearance once again at Pocono Raceway, very reminiscent of champ car races here not too many moons ago. Bren Roberts, very familiar, so is Christina Ryan, so is Eli Sasek and Hunter Peach. A lot of veterans in that regard. Bobby Blowers up to 6th place from 11th on the grid. Patrick Oberstadt's broken into the top 10. Biggest mover right now is actually Jeremy Braille, up 18 spots, 17th place as things sit at the moment. Reminder, stage 1 ends on lap 25 unless a caution happens between now and then. Not everyone here racing for championship points. Christina Ryan, the biggest factor. Bobby Blowers also not racing for championship points here at this point. Playing a little bit of a spoiler. Likes Eli Sasek could use those extra points. And Sasek followed Christina Ryan up to the fence and into it. It's hard to tell if the 80 actually tagged the fence. We know the 9 did because the 9 recoiled off the safety barrier out of turn 1. Everyone trying to push the pace that Josh Susie is setting. Robert's the only one that's able to really keep up at the moment, but even he's pushing a little hard to try to maintain that pace. Remember, Susie, last winner here from Pocono almost 2 years ago. Since the last time we were here at Pocono Raceway. It's been a hot minute. Susie was victorious on that day. Started this race on pole position, has led every lap so far of the 22 that have been completed. Checking to see how Eli's car is handling him right now. The number 9 of Sasek not having a great time after tagging the wall. You saw him dance around a little bit in the tunnel turn, turn 2. Just keep in touch with the 80. He's staying ahead of Hunter Peach pretty well. But you don't want to make that mistake too many times. Look further back. That's a lot of fighting going on right there. Jeremy Braille right in the thick of it. That is Braille. That is Wygent, the 00 that you saw go all the way to the inside. Bailey Thompson's in that group. Looks like Davis Mill Jr.'s in that group. Lily Sharp's in that group as well. Tommy Morell's just ahead of the group. And there's a little bit of a rift to get to Dustin Hall. Dustin Hall, he has plateaued a little bit. He did come down pit lane on lap 17. He is still up 12 spots from where he started. Remember, he qualified 32nd. Did not have a great time in qualifying. And he is making his way forward once again. He is following nose to tail with Mark Kissenweather at the moment. We are on the white flag in stage 1. So we have made it to the first stage the first stage in under green. Josh Susie is ringing away at it. He's been perfect so far. 24 laps completed so far, and he's continuing to set the pace. He has opened up a 1.1 second gap to Bren Roberts as he comes around to win stage 1. Remember, no stage breaks. The race continues on from here. Patrick Oberstadt grabs the last stage point in 10th. Things are running going now. Josh Susie in clean air is turned on the jets. Ben Roberts struggling to get away from the rest of the field. The 80, Christina Ryan, first time in this car at Pocono Raceway. Doing a pretty exceptional job here. Like Sasek, despite the early contact with the wall, staying in touch as well and staying ahead of Hunter Peach. Zach Meredith in trouble once again. He has had a bit of a spin. And Bobby Blowers has had an issue. Actually, I will stand corrected here. This is Blowers coming down pit lane. He was one of those that had not come down pit lane yet in this race. So this is a scheduled pit stop for Blowers. They have made it to lap 27, which was the pit window. And he is the first one down the pit lane. So keep an eye on this with Susie and a bunch of others in the top 10 having yet to come down pit lane in this race. Their first pit stops are calling. Alfred Denny, first driver they made a pit stop on lap 9. Has the ability to inherit the race lead as this race continues to go along. He's got about a second and change, about a second and a quarter over the likes of Dustin Hall and Pacey Wygent at the moment. So he's got a little bit of space if he wants to go and try to lead a lap. There's no bonus points to do so. It's simply a pride thing at that point. You're kind of just playing to a strategy, and if it happens, it happens. But the cars in front of him all do need to make pit stops here soon. Obviously, we've had 3 cautions that have helped extend the pit window for them by a little bit. But it is still a concern. You will have to make a pit stop at some point here shortly. I would say reasonably within the next 5 laps for those that have not yet done so. Christina Ryan has gotten ahead of Bren Roberts here, the 80 around car 83. You see those on the oldest tires struggling to avoid touching the safety barrier out of turn 1. That is making life a little bit more interesting. But again, Susie pretty well under control here at the front of the field. He will have to release the lead at some point. The question is for him, when? He seems pretty safe from an undercut or an overcut, and it seems like if he does lose a position, he can get it back pretty easy. Open setups, though, you have the ability to adjust your car as the race goes along. That's why so many cars made pit stops earlier in stage 1. They realize they need to make an adjustment to their car, whether it's to the tire pressures, whether it's you look at the track bar, wedge adjustment. Those are suspension adjustments you can make to try to improve the turning. If you're struggling to get turn in, if you're understeering, if you're tight, you'll hear a lot of drivers talk about the car just being tight in the corners. You can make adjustments. Likewise, if it's loose, we've seen a couple of drivers a little too loose. They spin out on their own. You look at Henderson. You look at Meredith. Those are drivers that have had issues in this race with a little bit of being loose or oversteer. You can adjust that out too. So you'll see drivers that if they're fighting something, they'll come down at that first opportunity to come down pit lane and make an adjustment and try to dial it in. Those in the top 8 have not done so. They are pretty happy with what they've got right now. Josh Susie has no reason to not be happy with what he's got right now. He has led every lap so far, 30 for 30 at this point here in Pocono. Everyone else has been battling for second place. But we've been in this position before with Josh Susie this season, and it's kind of just fallen out of his hands. He has grabbed defeat from the jaws of victory. So you don't want to sing too early, especially in the HTL Cup Series where it's been topsy-turvy just about everywhere. See if anyone comes down pit lane this time. Eli Sasek does. He bows out from 5th. And trouble! That was in the background. I was looking at the timing screen, and there is some huge problems here. And that'll bail everyone out from pit stops here. Looks like Cody Pennell, Tommy Reynolds involved in this, and Zach Apperson as well. Let's take a look. Cars trying to come down pit lane. 4 wide out of turn 3. Dustin Hall far right. Apperson far left. That is Reynolds and Cody Pennell coming into each other here. Dustin Hall gets clear of it. 4 out of 3 doesn't work normally, and there's the reason why. And Reynolds does get tagged by Apperson in the aftermath of that. Bunch of cars scrambling. See if we can grab an onboard. I would like to grab an onboard if I can. Patrick Oberstadt. On board with him. Ooh, well, that's close. Really, really close for him. He ends up in the top 10 out of that. Although he does have a pit stop to make. Grab it off of Apperson here. Doesn't look like anyone grabbed a lot of damage out of that. It's just a lot of smoke and a lot of confusion across the cars involved. So a lot of the field will come down pit lane here onto this opportunity. I would say outside of those that had just come down pit lane, almost universal, the cars that will come down pit lane here. Cars that had just come down pit lane, Olivia Pereira, Eli Sasek, they will jump at the opportunity to make a pit stop here. So Olivia Pereira will now be the race leader. Ahead of Eli Sasek, who had made a pit stop from 5th place just before that caution come out. So it'll be a sit on the front row here for this restart. Josh Susi, Christina Ryan in row 2. That's Ben Roberts, Hunter Peach, Tucker Sawyer, Dustin Hall, Alfred Denny, and Patrick Overstadt in your top 10. And despite our longest green flag run of the night so far, we stopped just a couple laps shy of a full green flag pit stop cycle. Fourth caution of the night, a multi-car crash between Tommy Reynolds, Cody Pennell, and Zach Apperson. All 3 cars still rolling around. Angel Santiago remains the only retirement in this race at this time. Caitlin Height does get a free pass. So after being 9 laps down at the worst points, Caitlin Height is now 7 laps down and slowly but surely reclimbing into contention to fight for positions if attrition becomes a factor yet again. We've completed stage 1. Stage 2 ends on lap 50. Reminder that we do not have stage cautions on tracks like Pocono. We race through it unless there's a need for a caution for an accident, which we've had 4. Pereira, who chose the outside lane to lead the field to green over Sasek. Josh Susi inside row 2 and 3rd has led the most laps, but will not have a clean sweep. Let me try that again. Clean sweep. Christina Ryan tucked alongside him in 4th. And there's the top 10 on the left side of your screen, all the way down to Alfred Denny in 10th. He's having himself a quiet but effective day so far here in the Pocono Mountains. Pereira will lead the field to green for the first time since Daytona. Now she started on pole for the 500. Outside lane has been undefeated on restarts here at Pocono so far. We'll see how it plays out at the hands of the 96 as we get ready to go racing once again here at the Tricky Triangle. Pace car is in. Pereira and Sasek control the front of the field. Green flag flies away. We go. Sasek shuts the door on Christina Ryan. Not sure I'd give the open lane to Josh Susi as quick as that 24 car is. But that is what has happened, and you sort of have to deal with it there. Sasek almost squeezed into the fence, given just enough space. Car in the wall, just further behind. Grabbing a look, that is Blowers, the 91, up in the fence, and there's some significant bodywork damage on the 91. Up in the fence there out of turn 1. Everyone keeps pointing the right direction and keeps rolling. We stay green. So he's still trying to rattle his way around the 9. And Susi's strong-looking car, not so strong in traffic, it looks like here. Which I think was what the Ascent cars were trying to bank on. However, Susi looks a lot better in turn 1 than Sasek did there. And he cleared Sasek in pretty easy motion there. Car spun around. Caution is out. It's Reynolds. And Susie did get clear of the 9, but obviously not able to challenge Pereira for that top spot yet. So Reynolds around. We saw that in the background there. We'll take a look and see if Reynolds got a little bit of help or not. Let's take a look. This is Reynolds, and you can tell pretty easily, no, he did not have help. No contact until after he was already going around. Yeah, the 54 of Davis Smith Jr. unfortunately couldn't avoid making contact with him altogether. Tried blowing up for him, but didn't want to get run over himself. He saw everyone else trying to gun it and get out of the corner. And tag of the safer barrier and the tire barrier, protecting the edge of that wall. Grabbing the 71's nose, and Reynolds, despite having the pace, also struggling for the consistency in that 71 car so far tonight. So he will join the back of the field. And likewise, this gives Caitlin Height, once again, another lap back. So she'll now be 6 laps down on the field. She's gotten 3 of those laps back here after being tangled up in the lap 3 crash with Angel Santiago. Santiago did apologize publicly and called it embarrassing what happened on lap 3. But I'm not sure it helps Caitlin Height at the moment. That being said, Caitlin Height's been in this position before where she's had to try to gain a bunch of laps back. And so far, she's done that pretty well. So 36 cars still on the lap. Caitlin Height's still the only car a lap down. Only 1 retirement in this race. As Height will take the free pass. Pereira, the race leader still, will start alongside Josh Susie for this upcoming restart here in Pocono. We'll go radio silent for a moment, give us a chance to refill our drinks here in the broadcast booth here for ABN. Stay tuned with us, and we will bring you the upcoming restart, the 5th one of the night here from Pennsylvania. We open up the season of giving next Monday with the Charity 350 at Kentucky Speedway. Sentimental, as it will be, returning to ABN's home racetrack for the first time in a few months. Obviously, sentimental for us here, sentimental for me. Almost 2 months in this pancreatic cancer battle. Charity 350 was meant to be a part of the season of giving. It's supposed to help contribute towards different charities, whether it be towards helping kids for Christmas and so on and so forth. A lot of drivers have picked out different charities that they wanted to support that have been planned out well in advance, and it's become so much more over the last couple months. It'll be very, very emotional for some of us here in ABM. We hope you join us next Monday as well as we ring in the season of giving in the best way we know. And if Kentucky Speedway is not your flavor, we got a bunch of races that might be. Sebring, December 8th, Bristol, December 15th, and then the Firecracker 400 to end off the regular season on December 22nd before we have an off week for the holidays between Christmas and New Year's. We're glad you joined us so far for this race. Fifth restart coming up here. It is Olivia Pereira on the outside, leading Josh Susi, Eli Sasek, Bryn Roberts, Christina Ryan, and Dustin Hall, your top six. As we get ready for this restart, Dustin Hall, your biggest mover so far, 26 spots gained at the moment as things sit. Through turn 3, the pace car will take the left-hand turn towards pit lane. It'll be on Pereira's call in the restart zone. You see the lines. You see the restart. Away we go. And Susi was not ready for it. Gets leapfrogged by Bren Roberts as well. Susi now in trouble. Again, his car not as strong in traffic as it was in clean air. Often the case when it comes to racing, but he seemed to struggle especially hard. Cars in the fence. Early trouble further back. Thompson and Pinnell both in the fence hard in the back. Everyone overdrove turn 1, it seemed like, to a degree, and it bit the accordion at the back. Caitlin Hyatt will get another lap back. That'll be her 4th lap back here. And trouble immediately. Put us back under caution for the 6th time. Let's take a look at what happened here. This is Cody Pinnell and Bailey Thompson, the 8 and the 27. That is Ross Baxter to their right. Up the racetrack a little bit, and Baxter has nothing to do with this. Cody Pinnell, I think, is trying to cut his teammate a little bit of slack, but gave way too much room trying to do so. Likewise, Thompson, probably not aware of how much space was actually up there, and eats the wall pretty hard out of turn 1. Let's see if we got him on board here. Significant amount of damage to the driver's side there for Thompson. Car that looked really good in qualifying, having troubles in the race. It seems to be a common trend here in Pocono so far. Several cars have had that. Henderson spun early. Didn't really tag the wall too awful hard, but just never recovered. He is still sitting right now in the 33rd position after qualifying this race in the top 4. He has had a really rough time so far, and this was a race that he was really banking on having a good run to try to solidify himself a chance at the playoffs. He entered this race 20th in points, top 16. Gets to a shot unless there's a wild card, which right now is not the case. You see drivers coming down pit lane here. These are drivers that maybe do not need tires or fuel, but are trying to get their cars dialed in. Obviously, drivers not happy with where the cars are at, trying to make adjustments, trying to make track bar and wedge adjustments. We mentioned those earlier. Trying to figure out the right direction to go with this car here. Obviously, we're approaching the end of stage 2. Still a lot of racing left, though, here in Pocono. So you've got a very finite amount of time to actually get some work done. And you're seeing some of that work beginning here. Clavitt, Henderson, Thompson, Reynolds, Blowers, Odie, and Donaldson all on the pit lane at the moment. It'll be Pereira and Roberts at the front of the field for this 6th restart tonight. Josh Susie and Dustin Hall alongside each other in row 2. Reminder, the stage ends on lap 50 for stage 2. We do not have a stage break for the stage. We race through it like we did with stage 1. It seems increasingly more likely that we're going to have a new winner at Pocono Raceway unless Josh Susie can make quick work of Bryn Roberts and of Livy Pereira. Pereira has sustained significant pressure the last couple restarts and will have to do so again, this time without teammate help. Eli Sasek down in row 3 in 6th for this restart. Getting ready to go racing for the 6th time with Pereira and Roberts leading the way. Outside lane again has been undefeated on restarts so far tonight. We'll see if it stays that way with a new challenger on the inside lane with Bryn Roberts. Flag flies. Away we go for the 6th restart of the night, and Pereira gets a good launch once again. See how it pans out behind. Roberts and Dustin Hall side by side. Pereira, mirror full of cars behind, drifts up wide as well. Gives Bryn Roberts the door. Down the long pond straightaway towards the tunnel turn. Pereira has to take a compromised line because Bryn Roberts was there. And now, undisputed, Bryn Roberts is there and has taken the lead. Dustin Hall goes for 2nd, but here comes Josh Susie. Hall goes up the racetrack at turn 3. Roberts leads. A little bit of contact between the 1 and the 24. As they race down the front straightaway. Dustin Hall traditionally it's done well here at Pocono. He's just not won here. And now top 3 knows the tail. Eli Sasek has moved to 4th ahead of Christina Ryan. Pereira has dropped down to 6th. As everyone tries to set their sights on getting beyond lap 50. Susie trying to chase down Bryn Roberts. He wants to grit the stage sweep. He won stage 1 in dominant fashion. Would love to grab stage 2. He's got a good run on Bryn Roberts here down the front straightaway towards turn 1. And Roberts has no chance to fight him. Susie back to the front. Roberts down to second. Trouble further back. That is, I believe, trying to see who that was. That's 23 at Chelsea Carter again in the wall. And the 23 is struggling here. That time in the wall a little bit harder than the first contact we saw back at stage 1. And has dropped out of the top 20 as a result. Three wide, just behind. And trouble, Meredith. And a huge crash out of turn 1. Huge crash in 1. Henderson's involved. Meredith's involved. That is Reynolds, Donaldson, Baxter, and a gaggle of others involved here. 7th caution tonight in the first significant multi-car crash we've seen tonight. And it looks like it started around Zach Meredith. And it compiled from there. We'll take a look and see what happens for our 7th caution of the night. And it looks like Meredith on his own. We'll see if we can back it up here and take a look at it from AV in slow-mo. All right, so this is Meredith in the 17, Apperson in the 4. That is Josh Arnold in the 12. They're all behind Chelsea Carter in the 23. Going into turn 1. Crosses over the rubber seam there to get to the bottom of the racetrack. And it looks like the back of the car, the rear tire, just hooks up on that rubber seam and just begins going around. You see Lily Sharp, the 19. Tries blowing up really late there. It's not a whole lot you can do there in turn 1. And you're going to see this is where things get ugly. Markowski gets a huge piece of it. And this is where we saw Reynolds actually be the one to go up and almost up and over into the fence. That's an ugly crash you don't want to see. There's the 29 of Clavitt. Caitlin Height, you saw avoiding making contact to get that free pass. On board Tommy Reynolds. He's going to have a little bit of a wild ride. Not a pleasant ride either at that. On board Caitlin Height. Really good job just avoiding all the melee there. Forward with Henderson. Not a pleasant ride for the 25 car here. And a decent chunk of cars will have to make some repair work under the 7th caution. That does in stage 2. So pretty well handled there. And Josh Susie does get the stage sweep as a result. I don't think that was much of a contest there with how we saw that lead battle shaking up. Several cars still on pit lane, trying to get some work done. Yeah, so also we're getting ready to see 1 to green. Lights the base car go out. It'll be Susie and Roberts leading the field around for the 7th restart tonight. Step aside for 30 seconds. Stay with us as we get ready for the second half of the Pennsylvania 350. Second half of the Pennsylvania 350 coming up here on ABN, here for the HTL Cup Series, race 11 of season 7. Josh Susie, Bren Roberts, front of the field for this upcoming restart. Ahead of Eli Sasek, Dustin Hall, and Olivia Pereira. All of them in your top 6. Christina Ryan in 6th for this upcoming restart. Gonna be a lot of fun to see how this all plays out. Stages are out of the way. It's time to get down to the serious business where all the points are scored. That is the next 50 laps here in Pocono Raceway. Pace car is in. Through the restart zone we go. Green flag flies, and away we go once again. And Susie once again rocket restart. There is an expected pit stop in this second half of action. Only one pit stop if things play out the way drivers are hoping it does. Hard contact with the wall, though. Bren Roberts hits the wall pretty hard and ricochets off of it in front of Dustin Hall. It stays in the right direction and keeps going. Dustin Hall tags the wall a little bit out of turn number 2. Christina Ryan checked up, and Eli Sass is going to go for the advantage and try to grab a couple spots here. But everyone's stepping over each other and themselves early on this restart. Down the front straightaway. Susie leads by about 4/10. That time Dustin Hall tags the wall. Pretty big bounce off the wall for the 1 car. Ryan defended from Sasek pretty well, held on to 4th. Guerrera sits in the 6th spot. That's Denny, Patrick Overstat, Tucker Sawyer, and Hunter Peach, your top 10 as things sit at the moment. Susie continues to lead. Everyone looking for some leeway here. Try to find some headwind to make some momentum happen, make some progress and grab a couple positions. Everyone's at this point had a couple opportunities to really dial in their cars. Trouble further back. Huge trouble. Who is that? That is, I think, Reynolds. Caution is out for the 8th time, and I was actually incorrect. It is Chad Swatsworth. Swatsworth's the one that went for the ride. And there's Dean Clavitt that went for a ride afterwards. Clavitt filling in for Austin Mongol. Reynolds had a fair share of issues in turn 1. This time it was Chad Swatsworth that had a bit of an issue. Take a look at what happened. He just gets loose. The way the car unloads coming out of the corner in front of Richard Odie there. He saves it initially, but then you see the car just take flight. And it's those bumps on the apron that just cause problems. You saw a couple cars try to use the apron to take avoiding action. That's where Clavitt got his spun. Take a look at Clavitt's perspective a little bit better. It's like Ross Baxter had a little bit better job of that. Scary times there, but 8th caution of the night now. And this is another caution that's caused mostly by a single car spin. And that car just returning to traffic. So that moves Swatsworth down to 32nd. And Caitlin Heights' consecutive streak of free passes comes to an end here. It'll be in the hands of Dale Markowski, who will get the free pass this time around. People cheering on Christina Ryan in the live Twitch chat. Sitting right now in P4, has not left the top 5 really at all this race. There's a couple drivers that have been pretty consistent in that top 5. Josh Susie, Christina Ryan have been consistent throughout the race. Eli Sassik's been up there most of the race. Dustin Hall's made his way up there. He is saying 3rd after starting this race 32nd. And Robert started this race in 7th, but has not been far from the top 5 at all this race. Obviously sits 2nd place now. He finished 2nd in stage 1 and stage 2. So 1st and 2nd are pretty consistent at the end of the stages. It has been an up and down day. Further down you go. Offer Denny up 14 spots. Patrick Overstad up 10. Byron Jones, Callie Hyatt up 12 and 15 spots respectively. Jimmy Braille up 18 spots to 17th right now. But on the flip side, Blake Henderson's down 28 spots. Bobby Flowers is down 21. They are outside the top 30 at the moment. Tommy Reynolds is down 30 spots, and I think effectively out of the race. He is out of the race after 48 laps, so he has joined Angel Santiago in the retirement queue. Bailey Thompson has been in pit lane with repair work being ongoing for the last 20 minutes. We have 33 cars on the lead lap. Willie Sharp 1 lap down. Caitlin Height 4 laps down of those still running in this event. Yeah, it looks like Markowski's actually going to have to get the lap back up. Not sure what is going on here, but he is going to go a lap down again. I don't entirely understand why. He wasn't involved in the last caution. We'll have 32 cars on the lead lap for this restart. Josh Susie will lead the way once again, as he has dominated most of this race so far. Bryn Roberts alongside him in second. Dustin Hall, Christina Ryan, teammates in row 2. Green flag flies inside lane, does not get going. Susie covers off the inside lane on the restart. Christina Ryan bobbles it a little bit through turn 1. Trying to get around the 83 of Bryn Roberts. A little bit of a dragon down the long pond straightaway. Susie trying to break the slipstream. I think he has gauged that 80 car is better than 83. And he might be right. Christina Ryan's clear for second. Roberts in third, Denny fourth, Sasek top 5. And the Hornet's Nest begins behind. Out of turn 3, as the cloud begins to hide the sun and cool the track down for just a moment. A little bit of haze going on as well on the racetrack. A little bit of a look here. Air temp 77 degrees, track temp 90 degrees as things sit right now. Biggest thing, wind speed 11 miles an hour, and it is a crosswind across the tunnel turn. And it's a crosswind across turn 1. Battling for second place. Second all the way through here. Sasek slides in line just to come back out to try to take third place away from Ben Roberts. Alfred Denny's in this mix. He is doing a phenomenal job. The 21 car. Up in the top 5. A little bit of contact. Car in the fence further back. Caution's out. Didn't get a good look as to who it was that tagged the fence. I would have to take a better look here. I believe, according to indications, it might have been Byron Jones. I personally don't believe that was the case. Doesn't look like the right car. But we'll find a replay, and we will bring it to you here. Sasek got loose, battling for third with Bryn Roberts, and didn't get it. In front of the field. Catch back up to the pace car there. So let's take a look at the restart here, and it looks like it was, in fact, Byron Jones. He gets loose on his own. Callie Height finishes him off, and he goes up to the fence, and that's where the caution came out, was the contact with Height in the 87. So pretty cut and dry there on what happened to Byron Jones. Just snaps loose mid-corner in turn one. A little bit earlier than we've seen with the likes of, Tommy Reynolds and Blake Henderson. Mid-corner, similar almost to well, of course, it would be similar to his teammate Zach Meredith and his spin earlier in the race. If they're running similar setups, that had to explain a lot of it. Just loose mid-corner. Sun back out after a brief amount of cloud cover. And we'll see if there's any takers down pit lane this time. From the front of the field, it does not look like it. It looks like a couple cars thought about maybe. No one bites until Steven Oberstadt 15th. Less than 40 laps to go here in Pocono. Kind of walk you through some of the through the field aspects here. Susie started on pole position. He has been pretty dominant here in this race so far. He's led 48 of 61 laps completed so far. By the time we get ready to go back racing, he'll have led half the race. He has been unstoppable so far here at Pocono, but potential challenge upcoming with the 80 of Christina Ryan not far away. Christina Ryan's not yet led a lap in this race, but has also not led the top. Has not left the top 5 in this race. Started this race 5th, currently sitting in the top 2. Second place will be on the inside lane, presumably, for this restart. Unless Susie chooses the inside lane here. Looks like he has. Keep an eye on that development. First time he chose the inside lane as the race leader here. So he does choose the inside lane. See Ryan there sitting in second. Will now deal with the outside lane. Bren Roberts to the inside of row 2. He's in third, starting 7th in this race. He's made up 4 spots. Same with Eli Sasek from 8th to 4th as he makes up the outside of row 2. Alfred Denny up 15 spots in this race. He's done well. Started this race in 20th. Has had a quiet climb. Looked like strategy was going to help him get up to the front of the field, but a caution helped reset that in stage 2. And he has just stayed in the top 10 since. He's alongside Tucker Sawyer, whose only HTL Cup Series win came at Watkins Glen last season. He is sitting in the top 6 right now. Would love to make a little bit more inroads here. He's starting right behind his teammate Eli Sasek there. You see the 2 Ascent cars nose to tail. Patrick Oberstadt up 10 spots from 17th to 7th right now. He's alongside Dustin Hall, who has made up 24 spots from 32nd up to 8th at the moment. Callie Height from 27th to 9th at the moment as well. Some pretty big spots gained. Not so much the case for Pacey Wygent. Started this race outside front row. Early contact in this race sent the 00 backwards. It's been a climb ever since, up to the top 10 once again for the 00 as we get ready to go back racing. .33 cars on the lead lap. It is Susie and Ryan front of the field. 24 and the 80. Get us going once again. Green flag flies, away we go. Susie was trying to help Roberts get ahead of the 80. Was not as effective that time. Obviously still helps Susie. He's still out in front and still clear. Roberts sends it in on the inside of Christina Ryan and clears anyway for second place. In trouble further back. Staying green. That car at the back of the field, I believe, was Pereira. And they are sliding all over the place, trying to grab positions and be aggressive here. Restarts have been everything so far tonight. Unless you've been in the top three. In which case, it's been a little bit more like clockwork. Susie leads once again, 51 laps left for the 24. Bren Roberts in second, Christina Ryan in third, Eli Sasek and Tucker Sawyer bring Ascent cars to the top five. Car tagging the fence, Dustin Hall. Hall sitting in ninth. Rolling through the tunnel turn. Bren Roberts has figured something out. He has closed in on the 24 a little bit, overdrove turn two, and gave some of that advantage right back up. But it seemed like he had something figured out through at least turns one and going into the tunnel turn, coming down the Long Pond straightaway. Pass for position for third. Sasek ahead of Ryan. Sasek will try to run away and catch up to Bren Roberts here. See what he can do. Battle further back between teammates. Dustin Hall and Alfred Denny side by side. The 1 and the 21. And Dustin Hall made pretty quick work of his teammate there. Alfred Denny drops down to 10th. As he now deals with more cars behind him. That is David Smoot Jr., Pacey Wygen, and Zach Apperson in his battle now for the 10th spot. In the thick of the battle there in the 21. The field fans out a decent amount here. Then the Long Pond straightaway towards turn two. Some pretty healthy gaps going on this restart. Could help us get some long green flag running going. Fuel mileage as it sits, there's no mathematical way for any of the drivers in the field to go to the finish without a pit stop. The question becomes, if we do get a prolonged and sustained green flag run, when do you make that stop? Do you undercut or do you overcut? Undercut means you come down early, get some fresh tires early. You're one of the first ones down the pit lane to make that service. Overcut, obviously the opposite. You're one of the last ones to come down pit lane. You're trying to take advantage of an empty racetrack. What do the drivers want to do here? We've almost had a full green flag cycle. That was back in stage 2. It has been tough sledding since. But with the spacing we're seeing right now, it seems pretty conducive for what we would consider long run racing at this point. There's short runs and long runs. Short runs are your restarts, usually your sprints to the finish, if we need them. Your longer runs are your full green flag cycles, your green flag pit stop runs that you end up making. Three wide just behind the 21 of Denny. As Wygen, Apperson, and Smeal all in that conversation. Top four have separated themselves from the rest of the group. Sienna Ryan challenging Sasek to no avail for third. They've opened up about 3/4 of a second to Patrick Oberstadt, who has cleared himself of Tucker Sawyer. Sawyer will try to pin the tail on the donkey here and try to just hang on to the 88 as long as he can. Callie Height having a really good run as well. Callie Height's had glimpses of good runs. Las Vegas, the last really significant oval run she had, that unfortunately ended with a technical failure. Coming to 30 laps to go, having a similar run here today in Pocono, a track that statistically is kind of a bit of a neutral ground for the 87. Battling with Dustin Hall. And Dustin Hall will make pretty easy work through turn 3 of the 87. I think Callie Height not upset by that at the moment. And 8th place, given the way the season has gone, not the end of the world. And a chance to get that back with the pit stop cycle if we get to that point. Will be very interesting to see some underdogs here in the top 10 at Pocono. As we typically do see, is the question of who becomes the underdog in that situation. Sasek has done well so far. Tucker Sawyer doing well at Pocono is a bit of a surprise. This is a track that he was not well versed in. This is his first time racing a stock car at Pocono, and he's already in the top 6, and he's been the top 10 all race. Callie Height doing well. Alfred Denny having a phenomenal race so far. Obviously, you look at how qualifying went. Blake Henderson qualified one of his season bests in P3. So, some topsy-turvy stuff going on in this race, and still some room for some shaking as we go along. "29 laps to go here in Pocono." Josh Susi continues to lead. Still a lot of battles going on, though, and you see one of those battles just beyond the top 10. Apperson, Smeal, and Kissenweather all together, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Hunter Peach makes it 14th place right there as well. That cluster of 4 just ahead of the 81 of Matt Vorndrum. And they're going to be 3 wide, and there's going to be a caution. Little bit ambitious for somebody, and Odie slams Apperson. And Apperson gets hit again by Blowers. Someone was a little overambitious in the tunnel turn, trying to send that 3 wide. And all 3 of them paid for it and then some. It'll be very interesting to see what each of those drivers feel took place there. We will grab our opinion from high above using our replay cameras for the 9th caution tonight. That will unfortunately neutralize any strategy conversation that had been building up to this point. And this is a look from high above. A little bit of contact. Apperson drove into the 54. Kissenweather tried to grab the 2-for-1 combo and instead was part of the combo breaker there. All 3 of them going into the fence. Odie slams right into the back of the 4 car there. Hard impact. We'll take a look here, and I think we need to get a little bit further back down the Long Pond straightaway and see how this all came to be. It's the 54, the 4, and the 2. Hunter Peach gets through this, the 20 car that's farthest right on your screen. Again, it's all about the 54, the 4, and the 2. All 3 of them end up in the fence and spun around the wrong way on the exit of turn 2. It's not really a point where the 54 is clear. And that's not really the 54's doing either. That's the Ford driving in deep and just missing it. Tags the 54 a little bit. The 2 sees the open door, but he can't go without drawing contact, and that sends the 54 all the way around off the nose of the 4. Hunter Peach gets through. Matt Vorndren gets through. And I really question Richard Odie. He was trying to Days of Thunder it, and to no avail there. Richard Odie. Yeah, that's a little bit silly. He's been penalized for not appropriately lifting in accidents before, and this is another one of those. I do want to see if I can get another onboard. I want an onboard from Hunter Peach. See if I can grab that. He watches it all happen right in front of him. Got it close, but he got through it. Lights on the pace cars means we're going back racing for the 9th restart tonight. Josh Arnold stayed out. Sorry, did not stay out. He went with a fuel-only approach in this race. We'll see how that pays off. He's looking for track position. Josh Susi to his inside. Row 2 will be Bryn Roberts and Christina Ryan. This is going to be interesting. For those joining us, we're glad you're with us here. Coming to 25 to go here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Race 11 of the HTL Cup Series season. Plays out as this restart comes to be. 9th time we'll see the green flag with 25 laps to go. Josh Arnold controls the restart. Josh Susi to his left. Green flag flies, away we go. Wheelspin was a concern for a moment, but he got away clean. However, he does have older tires than most of the field. So how long can he stay at the front? Susi's answer is going to be pretty resoundingly not long, and Josh Arnold's going to make it easy. Slides to turn 1, up in the fence. Everyone gives him space. Trouble further back, and it's Chelsea Carter. The 23 backwards with no traffic. We stay green, allowing the 23 a chance to spin around under her own power. And she does. She's back rolling. So trouble at the front, trouble at the back, but not enough trouble to cause a 10th caution tonight. And that one does. Huge crash. That is kissing weather, that is height. And a bunch of cars involved In this one, 10th caution happens not far away, and it's a hard crash in turn 3. I believe Kissamother's the first one to go around and make significant head-on contact within the top 10. Hunter Peach in trouble as well. You see the damage on that machine. That 2-car in a lot of trouble. Still rolling, which is resoundingly surprising. With less than 25 laps to go. 10th caution comes up this time, and it's a big multi-car crash in turn 3. Let's grab the replay here. Slow motion. And I have a feeling it starts higher up the field. And it does. It actually starts with the 87 of Callie Height, who gets touched by the 21 and sent right to the outside wall. Peach gets tagged off of it. And there's not a lot of places anyone can go. Oberstadt gets a huge piece of it. And that's where Kissamother gets involved. Sending the 87 up in the air. And eventually into pit lane. But a huge crash. For Callie Height. Looking real time. Real speed. Wild ride for the 87. And we're right on board. Hunter Peach obviously in a lot of trouble as well, too. Huge hit for him. And ultimately his day comes to a pretty resounding close, I think, as well, with all things considered. And then we'll look at Mark Kissamother's, because he has a wild viewpoint for this as well. Not a whole lot he can do here. He is in traffic. Sees the briefest sign of smoke, and then just sees a car in his windscreen. And you see the immediate damage it does to his machine. He is able to keep going. So, huge crash. They did get a replacement. The hood of that car put on. But attrition beginning to really kick in. And for Callie Height, disappointing. In the top 10 at that point. And will once again, similar to Las Vegas, have nothing to show for it. I think Callie Height obviously frustrated with how that's gone and how multiple races have gone so far. If it's not been technical issues, it's been incidents like that. Not a whole lot Callie can do, being helped from behind by Alfred Denny in that situation. And unfortunately, not a lot of time left before Callie Height has to stop racing for a bit. Josh Susie, Bryn Roberts will lead the field to this next restart number 10 of the night. Ahead of Christina Ryan and Tucker Sawyer. Patrick Overstat, Dustin Hall, Dean Clavitt, Brady Smith, Alfred Denny, and Ross Baxter make up your top 10 for this 10th restart. As the pace car takes the left-hand turn on the pit lane, 30 cars on the lead lap as we go back racing here in Pocono. And once again, undefeated outside lane, Josh Susie leads the way. And once again, it's going to pit Bryn Roberts and Christina Ryan against each other into turn 1. Oh, trouble. Christina Ryan in trouble. Huge issue for the 80. And I believe that might be day done. 11th caution right on the nose. And this is going to be day done for car 80. And that happened rapidly. Let's take a look. This is into turn 1. Grabbing the quick replay from the blimp cam. Just snaps a little loose. Runs a little higher up the racetrack, but that's been normal for the 80 tonight. At this time, it just snaps. You can see the dark smoke. The engine expires on the spot with a hard impact like that. It's not surprising. And Christina Ryan's good day comes to an immediate close. Less than 20 laps from the finish. I do want to see if we can grab an onboard here and see if we can hear anything. She noticed it began to slide, so she backs out of it, and then it just grips back up and just auto corrects over. And yeah, that car is pretty well done for the day. And so several cars eating dust as the race takes a turn towards the final fifth. Have been running top 5 all race long up to that point. Her first time racing in the 7th generation car at Pocono. And it comes to an end on lap 80. It does simplify the battle with Josh Susie. He was heavily concerned about the 80 car's pace for good reason. The 80 car no longer in contention, now has to worry about the 83, and just the 83 unless Tucker Sawyer's pulled an ace out of his sleeve. You saw the 61 Caitlin Height, now only 2 laps down. A couple more cautions and she will be back on the lead lap. She has been quick. She has not been effective or relevant in any position battles yet. That will change. So, what a turn of events here. We have racked up a pretty significant DNF list. Angel Santiago, Bailey Thompson, Tommy Reynolds, Richard Odie, Bobby Blowers, Callie Height, Hunter Peach, Christina Ryan, all out. With 30 cars left running in total, several cars on pit lane getting repair work done. Caitlin Height, 2 laps down, will try to get back on the lead lap and make something happen in the lone remaining Valfreya car in the field. We'll see how things play out from here. Less than 20 to go. It feels like the Josh Susie show once again in the 24 car, as it was a couple seasons ago last time we were here at Pocono. But we've had a couple races that I felt like the Josh Susie show until they weren't. So we'll bide our time and we'll sit with weighted interest and how the rest of this race plays out with 18 laps to go right now, 17 to go when we go green for our 11th restart of the night. Susie, Roberts, Patrick Oberstadt, Tucker Sawyer, Dean Clavitt, Dustin Hall, a very wild top six there. Alfred Denny, Brady Smith, Elias Flores, and Matt Vorndren top off the cake of a wacky top 10 for this 11th restart. But it's been earned. It's been earned. You can look at a lot of the cars in the top 10 and say, yeah, that's made sense today. Patrick Oberstadt, 14 positions gained. He's been in the top 10 most of the day. Dean Clavitt up 24 spots. He's with Dustin Hall there. Dean Clavitt's not had a clean day, but he's had a fast race car. He's had a top 10 running car looking at lap times. So that doesn't feel too out of place. It seems like he's got that car dialed in. Dustin Hall, he's been top 10 most of the day. Once he got there, he's not left it. Same thing with Alfred Denning. He's been top 10. Since he got there in stage 2, he's not left it. It's become survival of the fastest here. And you're finding quickly who can excel here at a track as wacky and as unusual as Pocono Raceway. And unfortunately, results like this could really shape how the remainder of the regular season plays out as we get ready to go back racing for the 11th time. A car coming down pit lane. Can't see who that is through the glare. Green flag flies and away we go. And that car coming down pit lane, Eli Sasek. Huge gaggle of cars there. Car in the fence, Tucker Sawyer. He drops back like a rock. Green flag continues to fly, though. Susie ahead of Patrick Oberstadt now. New challengers entered the arena in the chase for a race win, and it's the driver that has won 3 times already this season that is chasing down the former 2-time champion of the HTL Cup Series. If anyone's had the 24's number, it might be Patrick Oberstadt. He reels the 24 in with 16 to go. Absolutely reeled him in. And 88 car is looking pretty good. They did not like their chances since moving to open setup. Obviously, Patrick Oberstadt won Atlanta last Monday, and Patrick Oberstadt was still very shy, very coy on their chances here at Pocono, saying it didn't seem like it was their type of race. Didn't seem like it was something that they were really going to be able to fight like this for. They've got 2 cars in the top 3 right now, and Patrick Oberstadt has now taken the reins, and he is going to press the 24. Trouble further behind. It's a car spun, and that is Henderson and Apperson. Teammates together again. Not the first time we've seen this season between the 25 and the 4. There's probably several times I can count since last season that we've seen the 25 and the 4 together as teammates stumble over each other. Let's see what happened. 12th restart coming up. Here's a look at the 12th caution of the night as the Tombstone cars continue to fall apart. Not a great angle there. The 25 comes across the 74 of Braille and tags his teammate there, the 4 of Apperson, and they both tagged the inside wall. Henderson hitting it a little bit harder than Apperson did. But that's not a good angle. I don't know. I can't tell from there if if Henderson got turned by Braille or if Henderson was trying to side draft and turn himself. See if we can get a better angle. Different angle here. And that answers the question a lot more. Braille turns the 25. Let's back it up here just a second and grab the full picture. Quarter speed. Almost 3 wide between the two. Henderson moves over to give space. Yeah, Braille's trying to side draft, and it just doesn't work. Braille tags the wall on his own for good measure. Yeah, I think that's more in the 74, trying to side draft and not doing it well, than it is on the 25 or the 4. The 4, just a bystander there. He's up at the front, ahead of both of them, and just gets turned. And so Tombstone's race kind of fell apart at the seams. First, it was Bailey Thompson. Now, obviously, Christina Ryan. Now, Henderson and Apperson both in trouble. It really just kind of leaves the one of Dustin Hall hanging on with the Freyer at this point, trying to make something happen. This is live pictures, by the way. The car is on the pit lane. There are several. Your race leader, Josh Susie. Will can lead the way. Caitlin Height now only 1 lap down on the field. Trying to get back on the lead lap, is 1 lap away from doing so. Christina Ryan gave an update on her accident a few laps ago. And I'll show you if I can read it off here verbatim. Driver quote, quote unquote, driver error. Been having a tough time on the top in turn 1 all day. And finally ran out of talent. Gonna press X to down on that one. Rocket ship of a race car, though. Thanks for the opportunity. 2 more starts to be eligible for the Brickyard, which is in the playoffs. So she's going to try to run a couple more races to get into contention to run at the Brickyard later, after the new year. She's also glad she didn't take anyone else out with her there. Obviously, firsthand, know that you can't just run out of talent like that. Christina Ryan obviously tried to wheel and deal tonight, and unfortunately, it just did not work out. But a couple more opportunities, and obviously, as we brought up here on the calendar, 4 more races to get that done. Kentucky Speedway, the Charity 350, and ABN's homeland, the Bluegrass State next Monday. Then we go to Sebring for the road course race there on the IndyCar test variant of the track, the international course. Then the Bristol Night Race, and then the Firecracker 400 on December 22nd before Christmas. So, it'll be a lot of fun. Christina Ryan, in order to become eligible to race during the playoffs, the driver has to make 4 starts. Christina Ryan just has to do 2 more between Kentucky and Daytona. May not be available for Kentucky, but that leaves Sebring, Bristol, and Daytona as opportunities for Christina Ryan to make things happen here. And if you aren't racing, we hope you're joining us for those races. A lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the Winstall 400 coming up next month as well. It'll be a lot of fun, too. Keeping things going during the off-season here on ABM. It is Josh Susie and Patrick Oberstadt leading the way for this 12th restart. Brendan Roberts, Dustin Hall, row 2. Brady Smith, Alfred Denny, row 3. Olivia Pereira, Elias Flores, row 4. Ross Baxter and David Smeal, row 5. The sun beginning to set just a little bit That is not just cloud cover. That is an indication from Mother Nature that this race needs to hit the high boost, the high pressure, and get across the start-finish line for the checkered flag. Coming to 11 laps to go. And the green flag flies. Susie and Oberstadt. Closest restart we've had with Susie behind the helm of it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, Susie up in front. Oberstadt and Roberts nose to tail now, second and third. Dustin Hall in fourth. Brady Smith, the rookie, up in fifth. Couple rookies in the top 10. Olivia Pereira has made her way back to the top 10. Looking for a career day. Baxter, Jones, Flores, all looking for good days as well. That is the kind of race that Pocono has been so far today. Susie continues to lead, though. A little bit of normality at the front. Bren Roberts and Dustin Hall battling for third. One of Dustin Hall's best races so far this season. A little bit of prime Dustin Hall out on display as he goes wheel to wheel with Bren Roberts. Really tight out of turn one. They both keep it out of the wall. Good racing there. Seeing some good stuff so far. 10 laps to go. Make it 9.5. Patrick Oberstadt's right on the bumper of the 24 of Susie. Still side by side for third. Dustin Hall trying to get ahead and does so, finally does so. But now he's got to defend it because the 88 and the 24 are a little out of reach. Serpentine, the Dragon, down the front straightaway. Oberstadt struggles quite a bit there. Tags the wall. Not the only one. Several cars do out of turn one that time. Everyone sailed it through turn one. Not everyone stuck. 3/10 the gap at the front. Top three all within a second. Car on the fence further back. One of the Ascent cars, couldn't see who it was. More like Flores than the 99. He's sitting right now on the 11th spot. He was trying to challenge Byron Jones for 10th. Couldn't make it happen. Car in the fence, huge trouble there, and that is Pereira. And I think Pereira had a little bit of help in that process, and a top 10 run comes to a close. That is a car with a lot of suspension damage in turn one. You see that the car is broken suspension on that right front. That is a car trying to just make it back to pit lane at this point. Trying to keep this race green, staying out of the way at this point. That will move Flores into the top 10 for the moment, but everyone's pushing. Dustin Hall trying to challenge the 88. He's got a race car all of a sudden. 7 to go at the line. And he's got a pretty good slipstream. Looks to the outside, looks to the inside, back to the outside. Oberstadt covers each move. Hall runs upper lane, turn one. That was where Christina Ryan had issues. Didn't gain on Oberstadt that time. Car in the fence, car spun further back. Is that going to draw a caution? It does. It was Cody Pennell. That spun out of turn one. We'll take a look here, and he just spins on his own. Everyone's struggling, either the oversteer or understeer in turn one. And Cody Pennell got a little bit of the oversteer on the bottom of the racetrack. Bumpy surface, flat floors on these cars. They bottom out in particular ways, and it's hard to get them back. And Cody Pennell, for the first time tonight, experienced that. And he dropped down a decent amount of positions for it. He's going to end up being 27th here. As soon as I see an update as everyone crosses the start finish line, 27th for him is where he sits now live on the counter. And so that does give us a reset here. Dustin Hall had not yet gotten around Patrick Oberstadt, and now it's going to be about short run cars. Susie's been pretty unbeatable, short run and long run. But we'll see if anyone's got a trick up their sleeve here. With 6 laps to go right now, we'll have less than that, obviously, on the restart. Caitlin Height will get back on the lead lap with this caution. We will have 29 cars on the lead lap in the process. Not a lot of cars left running otherwise. Olivia Pereira on pit lane, hoping to be able to complete some laps here, but I don't believe with how things are looking right now that Pereira will get any better than 30th as things sit right now. So 29 cars on the lead lap. And effectively 29 cars running at this point. Pereira on the pit lane with suspension damage will likely not see the finish of this race. Will be classified 30th. Christina Ryan out in 31st. Hunter Peach out in 32nd. Callie Height out in 33rd. Flavia Blowers out in 34th. Richard Odie out in 35th. Tommy Reynolds, Bailey Thompson, and Angel Santiago complete the bottom edge of your top 38. 29 cars left running. And this is where things typically get more chaotic when it comes not only to Pocono, but just racing in general. You have a handful of laps to try to make things happen on a track that is already difficult. It is going to get physical. It is going to get aggressive. And as we've seen so many times in the history of HTL at Pocono, there's a good potential for some hurt feelings at the end of this race. But I have a feeling it's not going to be the front of the field this time. It's been the front of the field the last couple times we've been here where things have kind of gotten sour. I don't think it's going to be that way this time. A lot of respect between those drivers in the top 5. Just Susie, Oberstadt, Hall, Roberts, and Denny. Your top 5 at the moment. A lot of respect amongst those top 5 at the moment. Brady Smith, the newcomer of the bunch, there in 6th. He's raced pretty well with respect. He's one of those drivers that you can kind of go toe-to-toe with and make sure you're out on the other side with. Davis Booth Jr., he's a little more on the aggressive side, but also he knows that he's got a long shot to try to make something happen here. He's looking more at the point situation. He needs to be top 16 in points. He is just on the outside looking in. And with issues with Cody Pennell, with other drivers, it makes his day a little bit easier to manage. Byron Jones in 8th. Mark Kissenweather, he's recovered from that incident with Callie Height. What feels like eons ago, he's back in the top 10. Elias Flores also top 10 for this restart. Chelsea Carter just outside the top 10. Shad Swatsworth, Casey Wygent, Eli Sasek, your top 14. Then you have Zach Meredith, Matt Vorndren, some drivers that have had issues today for one reason or another. Jeremy Braille, Josh Arnold, Dale Markowski, Gary Donaldson, Cody Pennell, Caitlin Height, Ross Baxter, Zach Apperson, Dean Clavitt, Lily Sharp, Tucker Sawyer, Blake Henderson, and Steven Oberstadt. A lot of drivers that were hoping for really good days and have just not had them today. Despite the promise and the optimism, they've been left begging. will be going green with 3 laps to go. So this is not a green light checkered attempt. This is not an overtime attempt. We have a maximum of 3 of those if we need them. We will see if we do. It is Susie and Oberstadt at the front of the field. Robertson Hall in row 2. Denny and Smith row 3. 13th restart of the race coming up. And this is a battle between Goliaths in the top 4. Susie looking for his first win of the season. Oberstadt looking for his 4th. Dustin Hall looking to break a winless streak. Green flag flies away. We go. Hall gave Oberstadt a shove, but couldn't back it up. And it might not matter. Susie being sent 3 wide, trouble, huge crash out behind. And we are going to have another caution, and they crash again. And that is Byron Jones spun around off the nose of Mark Kissenweather. And we don't know who had the lead at the time of caution. They're going to sort that out. A couple of crashes that we'll have to look at here. It might have been the 88 that got the race lead through turn 1. They fanned out 3 wide for the lead as they crashed behind. And the dust will have to settle here in just a moment. Oberstadt leading the field back to the caution and back to the pace car for the 14th restart coming up. And this will be our first overtime attempt. So we're going to have to break this down a little bit. And it does look like Patrick Oberstadt. Either Patrick Oberstadt is the race leader or he is just really eager to get back to the pace car. I understand Josh Susie's understanding now. We're in overtime. They have not pit since lap 73. There are fuel concerns now. There are some significant fuel concerns now. That is why Susie was not eager to get up and go. There are some fuel concerns going on right now that we have gone into overtime. Uh-oh. This will be interesting. So let's look at this restart. So this is all further back. And this looks like Swatsworth gets completely clobbered. So let's take a look. We're going to back it up here since we weren't focusing on him here. This was the restart that came to down the front straightaway into turn 1. A lot of checkups there. Byron Jones, who also ended up wrecking further on in the lap. Swatsworth, his teammate Kissenweather. Bunch of the Ascent cars there. Just a lot of checkups there. Swatsworth gets turned early, bounces off a Wygent. Vorndren gets turned, and this is where it gets really violent. There's his teammate, Josh Arnold. Gary Donaldson gets a huge piece of it. Sharp gets clobbered. Looks like Henderson might have gotten through that. Looks like he got it close. Caitlin Height trying to avoid getting into another accident. She's been really good on the avoidance skills today. But a huge list of accidents there. And Swatsworth Day is not over, despite the smoke billowing from that car. I'm trying to grab a bit of a better look here. This is a pretty good angle coming from the crash. Vorndren gets pretty well turned here. That's a hard hit for Vorndren. Does look like Henderson does get through that one. And what happens to Byron Jones? Further down the order here. So a lot of having to break through here. It looks like Jones checks up for the yellow. Because lights are on at this point. Caution lights are on around the racetrack. Does he check up or does he get hit beforehand? It looks like, oh, he gets hit beforehand by the 23 at Carter. And there's not really anywhere for the two to go. He's on the brakes. He's trying to lock up and avoid hitting him. So that's not really a lot to do with Kissenweather. Kissenweather just ends up there by just proximity. And avoids making that situation too much worse. But importantly, as we look towards the first overtime restart of the night, Patrick Oberstadt has control of the restart over Josh Soucy. He did take the race lead before the caution came out, and so teammates on the inside, first and third. It puts Soucy and Dustin Hall second and fourth. This is a track that chews up and spits out ambition and hope for some and gives it straight to others. Who grabs the tricky triangle by the horns here today? First overtime attempt coming up. And you see a car coming down pit lane. That is Swatsworth coming down pit lane. Green flag flies, away we go. And the teammates in sync, coordinated, and ahead of the 24. Soucy, who has been the dominant car all day, snake eyes on what could be the last restart of the day. Car up in the fence, Kissenweather. Several cars in the fence. There goes Brady Smith. There goes other cars. And we will give it another go. I believe that was Lily Sharp, the 19, that had issues. It's either the 19 or the 54. It's one of the NFG Toyotas. And now the Carolina Beagle Racing teammates will be first and second on this restart. They will occupy the front row. And if I'm going to call a bluff here, I'm going to say Patrick's going to take the outside lane and clear Bren to get down to the inside before turn one. If I'm going to be a betting person, that's what I'm probably going to hedge my bets on, is that Patrick's going to be on the outside to start off this restart. So Bren can check up Soucy going into one. That's what I want to bet. But we'll take a look here at the most recent yellow. Brady Smith involved in that. And it's a pretty hostile accident there. And it is the 54 of Davis Muir Jr. It's not the 19 of Sharp. Sharp was not in the group at the time. Everyone just pushing really hard again out of turn one. Jeremy Braille helps clean up the process there. Contact with the wall for both of them. And Brady Smith takes the harder hit between the two to draw the second overtime attempt. A lot of damaged race cars, but a lot of damaged race cars that are still going. Cars coming down pit lane, obviously, for repairs. You see Brady Smith, part of that group. We are in overtime here in Pocono. We're glad you're with us here on a wild Monday night. Not been much of a contest on Monday Night Football. 49ers beating the Panthers 20-9. With less than 2 minutes left to go in the game there. Not mistaken, that is in San Francisco. Couple of games going on in the NHL at the moment. Got Ottawa Senators taking on the Los Angeles Kings, and the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Utah Mammoth. Senators and Kings scoreless into the second period. Golden Knights and the Mammoth lead 2-1 over Vegas at this point. Not a lot going on on this side of the sports night here on Monday. But it just means more focus on what's about to come here, which is going to be chaos. And would you know it? Oberstadt picked the outside lane. Bryn Roberts went to the inside. Called it. Now it's a matter of if it will work. Dustin Hall's been very jumpy in that second row. He could really mess with things there. Dustin Hall would like a result. He has been in this position before. He's been in this position here at Pocono and has been removed from a result late in the race before. He has seen a thing or two. He's done a thing or two. He would love to grab something out of this race. It's a racetrack he enjoys, and it's for good reason. He's up 29 spots. He is the biggest mover in this race so far. Unless Jimmy Braille somehow gains an extra 4 positions on him in this last restart, not impossible. Braille starts this race, or this restart, in 8th. So very possible to find some runway. But I will say, despite them downplaying their chances, Carolina Beagle Racing are just as much of a threat with the open setup criteria as they were before. It has been impressive to see. They are 1-2 right now, with Oberstadt leading Roberts. Susie and Hall will make up row 2. Chelsea Carter, Alfred Denny, row 3. Jimmy Braille, Elias Flores, row 4. Davis Field Jr. and Zach Meredith, row 5. Pace car will pull into the pit lane for what could be the final time. We'll see if it is. Green flag flies, and away we go. And it worked like a charm, the restart there between the CBR teammates, the 83 and the 88. Line of stern through turn 1. He leaves Hall and Susie to battle it out for third. And they will battle it out, and there's going to be trouble, and that is Clavitt, and I don't know who that was. They're going to keep it green. They're all pointing in the right direction for the moment. We'll see if they get back to the white flag. That is the criteria. You got to get back to the white flag before the caution. Trouble. Cars trying to avoid contact, trying to avoid drama. They want to see this race end as much as everyone else does. Do we get to the white flag? White flag is in the air, and the leader's taking it. 1 lap to go, presented by Southern Cleaning Company. This one is official. Roberts gets turned by Susie through turn 1. Roberts gets turned, but it does not look like he'll get close enough. Dustin Hall got checked up by that. Alfred Denny is in third. And they're going to have trouble behind entering turn 3. As close as you can get out of turn 3. Oberstadt looking for his 4th win of the season. He's going to get it. Oberstadt wins at Pocono. And you keep the round of applause going. Josh Soucy in 2nd and Alfred Denny on the podium in 3rd. Alfred Denny, 3rd place at Pocono. Pacey Wygant 4th. Eli Sasek 5th. But it is Patrick Oberstadt for the 4th time this season. He has been automatic the last couple weeks. Wins at Atlanta to grab his 3rd win of the season. And now puts a stamp of authority here at Pocono, winning his 4th of the season. Outdueling Josh Soucy when it mattered most. Soucy turning Bryn Roberts around on the white flag in turn 1. Roberts ends up finishing this race down in 26th. But Bryn Roberts will get an assist for a Patrick Oberstadt win once again. And Soucy protesting something. See him off to the side of the screen. He's trying to do burnouts here. A protest of some kind, trying to celebrate. And your race winner will celebrate on his own on the start-finish line. We'll try to get clarification as to what happened there. Obviously, we'll talk to our podium finishers, which includes Josh Soucy in that regard. And I'm sure that's going to be interesting to listen to. Patrick Oberstadt, automatic here tonight. A fantastic job for the 88 camp. We'll break down everything here in just a moment. We'll step aside for a minute to get everything ready for the post-race here. Stay with us here in Pocono. Post-race coverage, HTL Cup Series on AAM. Welcome back, everyone, to the HTL Pennsylvania 350 here in Pocono Raceway. Race 11 of the season. It is a 4th race win of the season for Patrick Oberstadt, who wins over Josh Soucy and Alfred Denny here tonight. A wild race that was up to the typical Pocono build, as we would call it here. A lot of chaos all the way through. We'll go over your results before we talk to the podium finishers here and kind of debrief how this race went out for the top 3. Patrick Oberstadt, Josh Soucy, those two pretty familiar at the top of the board once again. Alfred Denny breaks through and grabs his podium, 3rd place, his 1st of the season, his 1st in quite a while here in the HTL Cup Series. He finished ahead of Alfred Denny, or ahead of Pacey Wygant, Eli Sasek in top 5. Chelsea Carter grabs a top 10 out of this as well. Dustin Hall, Jeremy Braille, Caitlin Height getting a top 10 after starting this race 9 laps down. Back on the lead lap and in the top 10, Elias Flores rounds out that top 10 for Ascent Racing. Tucker Sawyer 11th, Byron Jones in 13th is how things end up there. Mark Kissenweather, Blake Henderson, Brady Smith. Drivers that had top 10 pace at certain points, but could not put it together at the end when it mattered most. Obviously, Henderson qualified 3rd. Very disappointing for him how this race played out, given the pace that the Tombstone cars had in general. Brady Smith, Zach Apperson, obviously mentioned, 15th to 16th for them. Ross Baxter, Cody Pennell, Steven Oberstadt, and Dale Markowski round out your top 20. You start looking at some of the drivers that struggled to get to the finish here after you get beyond this page. Gary Donaldson, Zach Meredith, Josh Arnold, Davis Boone Jr., they made it to the finish pretty well okay. Only 26 cars did by the time this was all said and done. Dean Clavitt and Bren Roberts, the last cars to see the checkered flag. Lily Sharp out at 27th. And a lot of retirements here begin with Sharp and go down. Chad Swatsworth, Matt Vorndren, Olivia Pereira, Christina Ryan, Hunter Peach, Callie Height. A lot of top 10 running cars out where they stood at that point. Callie Height, Bobby Blowers, Richard Odie, Tommy Reynolds out of the race as well. And then obviously Bailey Thompson and Angel Santiago. That's first 2 retirements of this race. Santiago only completing 3 laps here at Pocono. That being said, we do have podium interviews to get over here, and it is a very celebratory mood for Alfred Denny, his first podium finish in quite a while, and it comes here, of all places, Pocono. Al, walk us through it. That was a wild race and one that you were all but capable to take advantage of.
It's been 84 years. It's been a while. Yeah, it was. Dustin gave us a nice little setup there, and man, that thing was fast. I obviously am liking these open setups. It's helping a lot. I wish we could have seen a few less cautions today, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's fun race, good racing all day next to Patrick. It seemed like just couldn't get away from him. I think I might have killed Callie. Not sure. Got to check the replay. My bad if that was on me. But otherwise, yeah, just ran the race that the car gave me and tried to stay out of trouble as much as we could.
Obviously, it worked out. You talked about the setup that Tombstone had. All those cars looked phenomenal today, but you were one of the only ones. You and Dustin, for the most part, stayed out of trouble most of the day. Both of you got top 10s as a result of that. This track, typically not friendly to you. Statistically speaking, this was a track where you struggled to get top 15s. To be on the podium here, what was the big difference? You talk about the setups here, but setups are just a tool. What was it that helped you as far as putting all of it together when it came race time?
I think it was really just staying out of trouble, and having the setup would, just rolled so easily. You didn't have to fight it, so you didn't put yourself in bad spots. That made all the difference, really. Usually, I do tend to like Pocono, even though my finishes don't show it. But yeah, usually just caught up in trouble, and not doing that today helped a ton.
And obviously, for you, obviously missing a couple races, a good result here helps, especially with others having bad races, helps in the point situation. Obviously, I think still a little bit out of mind going into the next couple races, though. Kentucky, a track that fares a little bit better for you. Sebring, a race that is up in the air for everybody, as difficult as that track may be. This is obviously an important time getting ready, obviously, for the end of the regular season. Is this a result that shows what the 21 car is capable of at its purest point?
I'm hoping. I know Sebring's going to be a tough one. We're just going to have to survive and get as many points as we can there. Kentucky, hopefully we can do decent. And otherwise it comes down to Daytona, and we need to score more stage points. That's been the killer. And missing Michigan hurt a lot because that would be one of my better tracks as well. But I think if we can stay out of trouble these next few weeks and get some top 20s, maybe a couple top 10s in there, we got a shot at the playoffs.
And that is looming not far in the distance, 4 races away. You got Kentucky, Sebring, Bristol, and Daytona coming up here before we have the holiday break, and then the playoffs begin after New Year's. It's not a race win. You're still looking for that elusive first race win in the Cup Series as a whole, but a podium is a step in the right direction. Before we let you go and let you celebrate your first podium, and what you talk about, it feels like 84 years. Genuinely, it's been seasons since that 21 car has been on the podium. Before we let you go and let you celebrate it and get ready for the week ahead with Kentucky being another crucial race, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort and a phenomenal drive tonight.
Obviously, Blake for keeping everything going. I mean, him work hard. Everyone in the league for sticking it out and giving it their all through the rough patches. Everyone on Tombstone and Unforgiven. Dustin, especially for the tonight's setup, and you for being in the booth every week.
A phenomenal drive here for Alfred Denny. The 21 car finishes P3 here tonight, and a chance to try to build on that for Kentucky Speedway next Monday. Al, enjoy it, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
We will likely not get to talk to a race winner. We're not sure what's going on here. We're going to see if we can grab some insight. The person we're about to talk to is, I think, going to give us a little bit of it. Josh Susie, unofficially, something I think I need to kind of clarify here. We will talk to Patrick Oberstadt and get his perspective. Josh Susie, we saw the burnout at the end of the race. Obviously, a lot goes into that. Walk us through your perspective of the race. A lot of things that we didn't get to see up here in the booth. Let's kick it off from the top.
Well, I mean, I had a dominant car and premium track position all night, so just took care of business. And there was only a couple of cars on track that I felt were there with me. Dustin being one of them, Christina Ryan being another, and that's why I would try to pigeonhole on some of the restarts to, stack it in my favor as much as possible. And it worked out all night until that one restart with Patrick. It didn't when. The guy in second place is in front of the leader when the leader launches, and people are arguing I beat him to the line, but that's irrelevant when he's in front of me when I launch, and Dustin launches at the same time as me, and tandems him down the straightaway. So when the caution comes out, he was scored still in the lead when he should have been penalized in the first place. But that's not my call to make, and I tried arguing for it in race, but they're not going to take care of anything there, so it is what it is. And I knew I was pretty much battling Bren for the win, if things are called as they should be. And I went down into one on the last lap, and he left an opening and tried to cover it off, and I was already there. Shit happens. He went flying into the wall, not intentionally, but you're going for the win, and someone tries to cover you off. You're not going to jump on the binders and cut him a break like you are on lap 20. So it's unfortunate for him. We worked well together all night long, and we just got to wait and see what the admins decide.
Obviously a huge one. I think a huge note here is, and this is something that's been relayed to me directly, is that everything is unofficial, so it is being looked at. Unfortunately, we're not going to have any information on the official decision while on the air. So addressing sort of your concern as far as the restart and everything that sort of played after that, there is a review going on here regarding that. We talk about, and sort of zooming out beyond the last 10 laps, you did have the dominant car, absolutely dominant pole position, coming in as the defending race winner of this event. Open setup. It seemed like this was going to be favored for you, but we'd also seen other races where that was the case. Charlotte, you were a contending car. Things go south there. Was that lingering in the back of your head of making sure that there weren't the mistakes that were in your control here? Obviously, end of the race notwithstanding, can't really say that's anything on your call there. Was that thought in the back of your head of don't throw this away when you knew you had the car that could sort of put a second and a half gap on the rest of the field at really at will?
Oh, absolutely. I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop, and we had one caution. I don't know. We're on lap 80 something, and we were coming out of two, and my screen froze for 2 seconds, and I was like, "Yeah, here we go." And thankfully it came back, but I was just waiting for something to happen, whether it be, getting cleaned out from behind. I never would have expected it to be a restart violation, but yeah, I was waiting for the power to go out again, or someone to pull my modem out of the wall, or the wheel to disconnect. And that's just kind of been the story of this whole season. I think I'm leading the whole league in stage points, but something always happening in stage three, and I was just waiting for that to happen again tonight.
Well, obviously, everything's sort of up in the air. Unofficial is the word of the day today here at Pocono. That being said, a good result does help you out significantly, regardless of whatever happens here. Kentucky coming up, open setup. Another big opportunity. We know how good the nitro sets have been. We've seen that, especially over the last 4 races. With Kentucky coming up, is this going to be sort of a sort of a sign of things to come for the 24 camp? Obviously, we know how good you were at Charlotte. We know how good the NFG team was overall at Charlotte. Is Kentucky looking to be a little bit more similar to that?
Well, we hope so, right? The only problem with Kentucky is it wasn't ran post tire update, so you kind of got to build off of something else. And funnily enough, Charlotte was actually built off Darlington, and it seemed to work well there. I kind of massaged the setup about 2 weeks ago. Now I haven't really turned any laps since because we've been focused on Pocono and Atlanta. But the space is there, and you never really know where you stack up until you get into practice and start looking at times that aren't just like flyers and checking everyone's kind of 10, 15 lap runs and track conditions. And I was a little worried at the beginning of tonight seeing some of those lap times, but I think there was some quality laps and the track got super cool. And I found some adjustments right at the end of practice that just brought this car to life, and it was just an absolute monster. Unfortunately for the teammates, they kind of miffed on their qualifying a little bit, and once you get buried here in traffic, it's just so hard to overcome. So hopefully we'll have a better qualifying next week all around, and we got 7 days to dial it in and see where we stack up.
A phenomenal performance here for the 24 camp. And again, results unofficial. Right now, Susie classified second. That is subject to change given investigations on the restarts and everything that happened late on in the race. Before we let you go and obviously let you wait like the rest of us for the decision that's set to come from the HTL officials and get ready for Kentucky, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Again, congratulations on the result and the dominant performance nonetheless today. And obviously, the wait for official information as we get it later on, either tonight or in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, as always, nitro setups they're bad fast. The 75% fuel versus 100, you got to massage them a little bit. So thankfully, I got 95% of the work done at all the tracks that have been post tire update, and I just got to work on it for our particular league and weather. And that's just a lot of fun. And I know Lily's expressed she's really enjoying the open sets. So when you get to tune the car to drive how you want it to drive, it's a lot more fun. So shout out to them, great teammates, great work. Blake and Alfred for letting us do the open sets. Uh, I know there was a lot of skepticism, but I think hopefully a lot of the powers to be have seen the potential in it and how it can help with the racing. Once the rest of the league kind of gets more familiar with it, they'll be able to know what to expect in different aero situations and whatnot, because it is a lot different than fixed setup. So we'll get that dialed in. Hopefully they're here to stay. And thank you for the broadcast. I know we had way more cautions tonight than we needed to have, so you had to sit through that. Very unfortunate. Hope you found some birds and some trees or something to look at, because we were making fools of ourselves on track. But uh, it is what it is. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, and talk to you again.
Absolutely a phenomenal job, Josh Susie. Again, unofficially second place, led most laps today, pole position as well. And we'll wait for official word from HTL officials on how things stand following the end of the race tonight. Josh Susie, congratulations on the effort nonetheless. And as you mentioned, hopefully more conversations to come next week in Kentucky. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that was Josh Susie, your second place finisher, again, unofficially. We'll talk to the other side of the coin with Patrick Oberstadt here in just a second, but unofficially second place at the moment. Josh Susi after leading on pole position. We will move forward to Patrick Oberstadt, who unofficially has his 4th race win of the season. This one, a little bit of controversy regarding restarts later on in this race. We'll take that from the top. Patrick, walk us through your perspective of the restart there that they're calling into question, in sort of where you stand.
Yeah, I thought he was rolling, so I started rolling, and then I noticed maybe he wasn't, so I let completely out of it. And then he started going again, and Dusty gave me a shot, but he still beat me to the line, so I don't know. I feel like it was fair because I gave it back to him, but I'm just patiently waiting.
It seems like something that we're all patiently waiting for at this point. Again, everything's unofficial until they've reviewed that. And obviously, I think they're going to kind of listen to both sides of that conversation coming up here. Fortunately, I don't have a replay available of that restart in question. That being said, the team itself, and we'll kind of zoom out a little bit here, the team itself has performed really well since moving to open sets. Obviously, the question mark was going to be how would this team adjust from going fixed to open? Most of what CBR runs has been fixed for the most part. You look at ARCs, most of it's fixed. HTLs, for the most part, been fixed. Moving to open, a huge radical change. You win in Atlanta last week. Phenomenal performance there. Huge team effort there. Same thing happens here. It was between you and Bryn Roberts. Obviously, Bryn, his contact with Susi, probably also a point of contention being reviewed at this point as well. It's a multifaceted layer. But you grab another race when you're in position when it matters. You qualify you qualify 17th. You get into the top 10 pretty easily. You stay there. Open setups, it seems like this team's getting to terms with that pretty easily. Does that seem to be the case, or is it just a matter of it being tracks that have been familiar to the team?
I don't think it's the tracks, let alone because I've ran Pocono probably twice, but I think it's just all the whole team together testing and figuring out what works best, what suits tire the best, and what still has enough speed while saving tire. So I would just say it's mostly how well our team works together.
And I mean, it shows here the 88 and the 83 again in contention here. Just on our screen, the side by side of the 88 and the 83 working together tonight. It shows how strong that partnership is between you and Bryn. Kentucky coming up, a lot more familiar. It's a track that CBR has done well at, both fixed and open before. Is there optimism going into Kentucky next week that this sort of run can continue, regardless of what happens with the review that they're going to be performing tonight into tomorrow? Is the optimism that this sort of momentum can be carried forward and that this team should be considered a threat for all the conditions?
Yeah, hopefully we just keep the flow going and keep running well. And yeah, I feel pretty confident at Kentucky. I like that track, even though most people don't, because it's sometimes a one-lane track. But hopefully we get a good setup, and hopefully we can run well and stay up towards top 10.
That is the ultimate goal here. You've been really good at that so far. 3 wins so far. Tonight makes it 4 if it does stand. We are going to wait for something here.
Yep. Susi is the winner.
Yep. So Susi does get the race win due to, obviously, we talked about it before, the acceleration before the leader on the restart. So it does move, obviously, to the end. So that moves you to the end of the lead lap. So that does pivot the question pretty quickly then for you. Obviously, 3 race wins. This doesn't hurt you too awful bad. How important does Kentucky become as far as washing this race out and moving it out of the way?
Yeah, it's just going to be this next race. I'm not too worried. I'm just going to keep my head down and just keep doing my thing and hopefully get a couple of my teammates' wins.
Obviously, the playoffs coming up very quickly. 4 races to go into the playoffs. Patrick Oberstadt still safely in despite the penalty for the restart violation here tonight. As obviously breaking news, obviously penalty being served out, moving Oberstadt from 1st to 26th at the end of the race today. But 3 race wins, still safely top 12 with Kentucky on the horizon. Obviously, a good race, notwithstanding there, Patrick. Before we let you go and obviously let you debrief with your team and get ready for Kentucky, now that that's become a little bit more important, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort nonetheless, and obviously a chance to rebound in the Bluegrass State next Monday.
Yeah, first off, thank you for putting the broadcast on, and thanks to my teammates, my brother, and David Smale Racing Paint Schemes for the cool, awesome paint schemes. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Patrick Oberstadt here. Unfortunately, not going to be able to hold the race win in Pocono following a restart violation here tonight. But 3 race wins this season, a chance to go again for the 4th in Kentucky next Monday. Patrick, hopefully we get to talk to you again in those circumstances in the Bluegrass State. Enjoy the rest of your night, and obviously we will try to catch up with you again next Monday. Alrighty, wild stuff there. As we have a lot to sort of break through and sort of cover. And I believe Pacey Wygen's wanting an interview, so we'll try to get him in really quickly. We only have a couple minutes left in the broadcast time window here. Pacey Wygen now promoted to 3rd place. We'll have to cover the results quickly as they change here. Obviously moving up because of the penalty to Patrick Oberstadt. Walk us through your race because it wasn't clean.
Yeah, I don't know. I started P2, chose the wrong setup on accident. Had a terribly loose car the entire time. So, was not fun. Went in, made adjustments, got the car feeling better, started driving up through the field, and got caught in 1,000,001 people's misses. So, yeah, I don't really understand how I got P3. I mean, I understand the whole restart thing, but probably an unpopular take. I kind of feel like the OC really doesn't even deserve it. Not calling anybody out or anything, but it kind of seems like he just intent dumped a car there on the last lap. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. Yeah, P3, I guess. Cool.
Obviously, for you, it's less of an ordeal being top 12 in points already with the race win. Obviously, without having more race wins, you don't really get the extra playoff points without those here. But obviously, it helps morale. You talk about being on the wrong setup the entire race and having to adjust out of it with only having a limited amount of time to do so. A pretty big hole to dig yourself out of. Kentucky coming up, though, we're running out of races to try to pad the playoff points going into the playoffs after the new year. Kentucky, we've seen you be good. We've seen you win in the Bluegrass State. Is that the frame of mind going into next Monday's race, is try to go out and grab an extra win and take it to the CBR teammates and take it to the NFG cars that have been strong in the open setup times?
Well, as long as I don't qualify in pole next week, I should be able to at least finish the race. So that's my only goal. I just want to finish the race. Considering the past 2 weeks, I qualified pole and got wrecked out before it was over. So, yeah, I guess I'm not really looking too much at the playoffs or anything like that. I'm just more trying to just finish the races at this point.
Well, you did a great job in adverse circumstances here tonight here on Pocono Raceway. P3 officially for you here tonight. An outstanding job for you. Before we let you go and obviously let you get ready for Pocono and adjust to everything that is coming out over the next couple hours, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations.
Yeah, I gotta thank you for broadcasting and sticking with us as we all made ourselves look like a bunch of clowns out there. Gotta shout out to Eli for giving me the spot on the team. Gotta thank Blink Designs for making the paint for me, and all my teammates and everybody who finished with under 10x tonight, I think deserves a pretty big shout out.
Phenomenal. Pacey Wygen recovering from a error early on in this race, wrong setup, and still coming away with a podium here in Pocono Raceway, trying to go and do the same and maybe get a couple spots better in Kentucky next Monday. Pacey, congratulations, and we'll talk to you again in the Bluegrass State.
All right, thank you.
That was Pacey Wygant, your P3 finisher officially. A lot to go over. Again, breaking news, Patrick Oberstadt will not hold the race win here tonight due to a restart violation within the last 20 laps of regulation here at Pocono. Patrick Oberstadt, 17th on the grid, will end up sliding down. And bear with me as I double check here. Yeah, 26th is where he'll end up here. So everyone from 26th to 2nd moves up a spot. Josh Susi officially I'm going to say unofficially, just in case, because I know there's still a lot that needs to be reviewed. The incident with Brent Roberts will still need to be reviewed as well. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So Josh Susi, unofficially the race winner here at Pocono. Alfred Denny moves up to P2. Pacey Wygant moves up to P3. Eli Sassek's 4th. Chelsea Carter gets a top 5. Dustin All P6. Jeremy Braille, Caitlin Height, Elias Flores, and Tucker Sawyer, your top 10. Byron Jones, 11th here at Pocono. Mark Kissenweather up to 12th. Blake Henderson, 13th. Brady Smith, 14th. Zach Apperson, 15th. Ross Baxter, Cody Pennell, Stephen Oberstadt, Dale Markowski, and Gary Donaldson make up your top 20. Zach Meredith, Josh Arnold, David Smeal, Dean Clavitt, and Bren Roberts move up to the top 25, with Patrick Oberstadt slotting into the 26th position, last car on the lead lap. Everyone 27th on down stays as they were because they did not finish. All right, with all of that out of the way, we hope you join us again next Monday for the Charity 350 at Kentucky Speedway. 4 races left until the end of the regular season. Also, join us on YouTube. We have races being uploaded every day from HTL, from Winstell, and ABN. But that'll do it from us here in Pocono. A wild race, wilder post race. We get to go home next Monday in Kentucky Speedway. We're glad you joined us here for HTL and ABN. I'm Carmen, Sienna. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Stay healthy. See you when we go home in 7 days' time. So long, everybody.